So it's not to overwhelm you or to make it seem like you can never do any of these things, but just to give you a sense of what some of these things are that might be causing reactions and where you can go. And then we want to really focus on what you can do, and that's what today is all about. What good foods you can introduce, good ways you can get nutrients into your kids, good ways you can prepare foods that they like. So that's what we want to spend more time focused on. I know that that just the other part of this discussion is just a natural piece because there are things we often need to eliminate. But really what we want to do is then just go from there, just do your best with what you have, and just start to see. If they're doing great and they're totally thriving, then they might not have an issue with some of those foods that we brought up. I could take any food and tell you why it's bad. You could take greens and they're bad because you can't do them on an oxalate diet. So the point is not to restrict you or limit you, but just to give you plenty of knowledge so that you can help to determine, start to pinpoint where those things might be. Maybe there isn't hidden gluten. Maybe it is an oxalate or a phenol or something else. So we're just giving you lots of information so you can start to determine some of that for yourself and go from there. So I just wanted to say that. And then welcome to the second half of the day, which is on the specific carbohydrate diet and fermented foods. The fermented foods piece is going to, for the most part, be SED compliant and GFCF, so I will mention any time that there's some distinctions that are not. But we wanted to start out today by talking about making nut milk and then nut milk yogurt, and then we're going to use that in a smoothie that we're going to make. So I want to start with, why would you make your own nut milk? It's easy to do. Although it gets a little messy, and it's one more thing that you have to add to your busy schedule, so why bother when you can buy it in a container already made for you? Well, if you've never tried nut milk before, and we're not going to sample the nut milk, but we're going to sample the nut milk in the smoothie. Nut milk is homemade, is incredibly delicious. It's fresh, it's so tasty, and it tastes so different from what you get in the container at the store. So that's number one. Also, it is far more nutritious because you're going to have everything live and fresh. Third thing is that hopefully you're going to soak your nuts ahead of time, so you're going to remove all of those digestive inhibitors, and you're going to make a lot more nutritious, digestible food. So there's lots of reasons that while you could get it at the store, and like Susan said, it's good to have some on hand when you need it in an emergency, it is something that you will want to try and see how your family likes it and go from there. So with that said, we have some nuts that we have soaked ahead of time. So we soak them in some water, and usually for 7 to 24 hours. So this instruction, the almond milk recipe is not on here, so we're just going to tell you as we go. We then use that to make the yogurt. So usually what you'll do ahead of time is you're going to soak your nuts, whatever nuts they are. The other nice thing about making your own nut milk is that you can use whatever nuts you want. So if, for example, you can't do almonds because of phenols or some sensitivity, you can use hazelnuts, you can use Brazil nuts, you can use cashews, you can do any macadamia nuts, walnuts, you can use anything. And so for people that want to rotate their nuts so they don't create nut allergies, you don't have to go with just the almond milk or the almond milk and hazelnut that they sell at the store. You can now have various nuts that you can rotate by making your own nut milk. So from that, we started with the soaked nuts that we've then drained.